Hello there, beautiful. I really like to start my videos off with just showing you who I am, right? Because then you kind of have a better feeling of the person that's talking behind the webinar or the speaker that is here. And so I'm here, but I'm going to share my screen in just a minute where I will disappear and you won't be able to see me anymore. But what I'm going to be talking about today is just some small tweaks that you can do to your podcast to really kind of just call in those aligned clients. So let's get started. Welcome. This is the small tweaks that you can do to turn your podcast into a client magnet. We're going to turn your voice into your most powerful client attraction tool. It already is. We just need to really amp up the volume here and get this into play for you. So, this is a space for spiritual heart led women who are feeling called to speak, share, and serve through podcasting. And we're here to explore aligned ways to grow your podcast and your business without that hustle, without that burnout, or without any kind of like inauthentic tactics or bro marketing, right? Nobody wants that bro marketing for sure. So, who am I? I am Kim Parkinson. I'm a certified podcast growth coach. I'm a podcast producer, and I'm the host of Podcasting for Spiritual Women. I'm also a speaker and a chicken mama. Yeah, I love my chickens. I have 20 currently. So I have 12 laying hens and 8 baby chicks that will be laying by October, November area. And let's see, I'm also a mom to 2 adult sons. My oldest is a retired Marine for the United States Marine Corps. And my youngest is currently going to college in Boston. So I adore my boys. And although they're not boys, right? They're sons, but I adore them and they are my world. So their father and I have been married for over 28 years, and we've been together since 1992. And if anybody else out there is a huge, like me, Corn fan, and that's Korn, that's the same year Corn was founded. And our love of music is what actually got us together. I had a Halloween party and a live band play, and that live band asked if they could have another band play, and he was in the supporting band. So our love of music is really what has gotten us together. And it continues to do so because we are avid Singo players. And Singo is short for song bingo. So we go every Wednesday with my sister and my niece and some friends, and we just have such a great time. So you get a bingo card, and then you check it off as the music plays. It's fantastic. I love it. I know songs from the 50s to the present, and my favorite is the 60s and 70s, but also new metal, grunge, and alternative metal. Which I right now my one of my favorites is System of a Down. Absolutely loving them. Although I have seen Corn about 6 or 7 times already. So maybe I know they were definitely my favorite. Uh, so anything in the 90s, I'm really up for. Although I am not going to omit a little Britney Spears once in a while. I absolutely love her still too. Madonna was also a favorite of mine. So, who am I and what am I doing here? I'm also a former craft store owner. During the time where I was a craft store owner in 2012 to 2017, I taught anywhere from between 8 to 20 plus classes a month to adult women. And I was best known at that time for not only my creativity, but also as kind of a confidence coach, right? I was helping them create art with confidence. My biggest takeaway, I always tell people when they are stumped for how to create, take a look at what you're wearing for that day and use those colors. It just takes out the guesswork, right? Creates that confidence. So, if you want to know how that coincides with podcasting, let me tell you, during those times as a craft store owner, I also had my own TV show where I was executive producer and I was teaching crafts online, tutorials online. I absolutely love to teach and I love creating tutorials and I love just really getting people's confidence up in whatever particular area that is. And of course, today that is podcasting using your voice. I love, love, love helping women just really get their stories and their teachings across using their voice. So you can listen to my free Podcasting for Spiritual Women podcast if you would like, or you can join my newsletter at kpcreativemedia.com/news. And that newsletter is also packed full of content. It's not just content that we speak about in the podcast that week, it's a companion to it. I dive into other topics and I really kind of get people to just kind of have better idea of some different pieces, not just the things that we talked about on the podcast, because then why would you listen and read both of them, right? So I want you to listen to the podcast and I want you to read the newsletter. And so I offer tons of information in both of those. Podcasting for Spiritual Women comes out right now every Tuesday and Thursday, and you can catch those on any of your favorite podcast players. All right. So I have a couple of things that we want to talk about. And so we're going to start here. So why your podcast might not be attracting the correct clients yet. Let's talk about something that you might feel a little frustrating. You're showing up, you're recording episodes, and you're giving amazing content, but the clients just aren't flowing in yet. Here's what might be happening. And none of this means that you're doing anything wrong. Please, never, never, never. It just needs a few tweaks. And that's all that matters here, right? So we're trying to just get you to think about little tweaks that you might be able to do. So first, there's no clear path from listener to client. You might be getting some downloads, but what's happening after someone listens? Do they have any idea where they're supposed to go, what they're supposed to do? There's no intentional next step. So people maybe drift away, maybe they stop listening, maybe they continue to listen, but because you're not inviting them to that next step, they're like, I don't know what to do next. So number two is there's a lot of content, but maybe not enough connection. And let's face it, as we all know, connection does equal clients. So you want your episodes to have all the information and also intimacy. It's hard for people to feel you if they don't feel like they know you. So you want to make sure that you pull in those stories and you really gather all of that information so that they can see the true you. All right. Number three, your voice is powerful, but maybe you just haven't anchored it into any type of a strategy yet. We're going to talk about this on all of these a little bit further. As a matter of fact, there's 5 tweaks. I know that I've only put 4 here but I want you to kind of think about them, right? So your third one here is the powerful voice strategy, making sure that you're speaking from the heart, which is absolutely beautiful, right? You really want to make sure that people can hear you and understand what you're talking about. Let's face it. I sound excited because I am. I absolutely love podcasting, but this could look and sound a whole lot different if I was like talking about snakes. I don't like snakes. So you can hear that, right? You can totally hear that. You're not seeing me on camera. I totally know that right now, but you can tell those aren't my favorite things. And so I love to talk about podcasting and you can hear the excitement. So just know that when you're talking about something that's exciting to you, something that is really beautiful and maybe can help move that needle forward for those people that are aligned with you, they can hear that excitement in your voice, right? It's not always about the energy that you create, but it's how you're creating that energy for growth, right? So you might be thinking to yourself, I'm creating this, but maybe you're not loving it. But if you're creating it because you're growing and you really love it, they can hear that. So anyway, let's go on. So finally, you may not be making the consistent invitations that you want to be making or that you should be making. You want to be making consistent invitations to whatever it is between 8 to 12 weeks before that offer comes to fruition, right? So not reminding people how to get deeper with you, how to work with you, or how to stay in your world, that can be definitely detrimental to your podcast and to your growth of your podcast. and also to how they're going to get into your world as a client. So you want to make sure that you're creating those consistent invitations. It's not just about doing more, it's about the small intentional shifts that bring in the right people and guide them to take action. So it's just about a little bit of aligned tweaks here. So I also have a little bit of a magnetic podcast pathway, right? So let's reframe podcasting not as just content, but as a journey you're guiding people through. And I'm calling this the magnetic podcast pathway. It's the journey your aligned clients takes when they find you through your voice. So the step one is awareness. This is how they find your show, maybe through a search, a guest episode, word of mouth, a newsletter share, a summit, a webinar, something like that. Could be organic, any kind. This is the first step, awareness. Number two step is connection. They listen to 2, 3, 5, maybe 10, 100 episodes, and they start to feel your energy. They really start to get you. They're nodding along as they're talking, and they're thinking to themselves, yeah, this person, they get me. They are aligned with my energy. And then the third step is trust. This is where they start to rely on your voice. They want to listen to your episodes every week, and they begin to trust your perspective, your process, and your presence in your modality, in what you're teaching, right? So, for example, I have always been an avid podcast listener. I haven't always listened to podcasts about podcasting, but more recently, I have gotten a coach that is a guy, and he has a podcast. Now he has, I think, 600 episodes, something like that, 500 maybe. And I didn't know that I needed to have his podcast in my world until I started listening on a regular basis. And now every Tuesday I get up and I'm ready to listen. It's like the first thing that I do on Tuesday is listen to his episode because it's packed full of information. I trust him and I have a connection with him now. And now I'm working with him. So that brings me to the invitation, which is this is where most people will drop the ball. You must invite them into your world. Whether it's a freebie, a membership, a session with you, you must send out that invitation, that CTA. So that's what happened with my coach, with the gentleman I was telling you about. He put out an offer to say, I'm offering a podcast growth certification. I took him up on that certification, and now I'm a certified podcast growth coach. So that means I was a conversion, right? I booked, I bought, I joined. And that's where they want. You want them to take that leap, to book a call with you, to join your program, to say yes to your offers. And it doesn't have to feel salesy. And remember, sales is serving, right? So if they have a problem and you have the solution, and if you can sell them that solution, that is serving them the way they need to be served. If you have something and they don't need it, they're not going to buy, right? So think of it that way. But if you have something and it makes their lives easier, that is serving them. So this is the journey we follow and we refine inside of the podcaster's pathway to profits. And it's about walking this path with intention so your voice becomes your most powerful business tool. All right, you ready for some tweaks? I am. All right, so tweak number 1, we're going to speak to just one person, that one avatar, right? So we're going to just stop speaking to everyone because let's face it, you don't want everyone to be a client. Like, very few of us want everyone to be a client. We really don't want to speak to a crowd. We want to speak directly to one aligned listener. And that's the person that you're here to serve. Now, when I say one aligned listener, you're not thinking to yourself, hopefully you're not thinking to yourself, what do you mean one aligned listener? Because I want to sell to more than one person. Yes, we do want to sell to more than one person, but that person needs to be aligned. You're just not going to work with anybody, right? You want them to be aligned with your values, with your mission, with your service. So if you're selling if you're selling books, right, you may not be interested in selling to someone that is not a reader, right? If they're like, I've never stepped into a library, I don't even know how to open a book. Maybe they don't even, they're not a reader. It's not going to be a good fit. So you want to make sure that you're selling to the appropriate person. This, think about their hopes, think about their struggles, think about their desires, and use their words, right? Speak to your aligned clients' hearts and desires with the words that they use. This is going to build connection. They're going to feel seen, they're going to feel heard and guided. And when she says, it's like you were in my head, that's what you know. That's when you know it is working. So when they're like out there and they're like, I love you, you've got the right person. You've got the right person. So can your ideal client recognize herself or himself in your podcast? All right, tweak number 2, creating clear CTAs. And if you don't know what a CTA is, it is a call to action. So you want to make sure that you're giving value, inviting them, not being salesy, and being intentional. What does that mean? Let's be honest. How often are you making a clear invitation in your episodes? I'll wait. CTAs don't have to be pushy or gross, and it doesn't even have to be anything paid, right? We talked about that a little bit already beforehand. You can actually invite them to just your newsletter. You can invite them to like you on Instagram. You can invite them to your Facebook group or to your Telegram group. It doesn't have to be a paid offer because realistically, we're going to be trying to do a little bit more, which is actually tweak number 3. I'm sorry, tweak number 4, but we really want to make sure that they're getting the clear CTA and that they are in your world in some way, right? So think of it like guiding your listener to the next aligned step with you. Join your email list, book a session, check out your membership, look at your Instagram, join your Facebook group, join your Telegram. Your CTA is the bridge from content to connection and then from listener to client. So, are you clearly telling your listeners how to take the next step with you? All right. Tweak number 3 is consistency. Now, I'm not just talking about consistent episodes, which I firmly believe you should, but this consistency is also content that's repeatable in rhythms, right? So if you're always wondering what to record, let's just face it, everybody says that. Like, what do I talk about today? And then what ends up happening is they bring on guests, and then that creates a different problem altogether. We don't want that. We want you to have some solo episodes that really showcase you, your authenticity, and what you are about. So let's bring this in with some monthly or seasonal rhythms. So maybe that is a theme, monthly theme. So you could talk about something very specific for the month. If you were talking about the different like zodiac signs, that is very easy to know. You have a monthly theme. If you have something along the lines of, want to go by season even. So maybe you want to have a season or a series that you talk about different things in the summer. So it could be a monthly theme, it could be a series, or it could be recurring segments, right? So recurring segments are inside of an episode. So you may be talking about a whole thing of an episode, but a recurring segment inside of an episode is like maybe offering a client question, or maybe offering for you to read off a podcast review or a testimonial that maybe somebody has spoken. You can use something like SpeakPipe, which does offer a free offer, and you can just send them people there and they can have a little saying for you, and you can post that live on your podcast. And so it's just bringing more and more of that value to your listeners to be like, this person, she's done this for this people, and just really shows that authenticity, shows what you can do, right? So does your content support your bigger message and your offers? You want to make sure that everything is aligned. We are in tweak number 4, creating a container, because your podcast isn't just content, it is your energy. It is an energetic space where you are the host, right? You're creating this deep intimacy, this loyalty, and this resonance with your stories. Think of it like a virtual altar or sacred circle where your listeners are coming to receive. This means speaking from the heart, sharing your stories, sharing your client stories. Maybe as your client is a different name, that's okay too. But you really want to make sure that your listener is receiving those stories and they can actually kind of say, yes, this has happened to me. Or, oh, no, that didn't happen to me. And I really wish, so you just really want them to kind of have that connection to you within this container. So people don't just come to podcasts for tips, they come for the stories, they come for the presence, right? As women, we loved mystery schools, we loved the stories, and we're still doing this within the podcasting space. So make sure they're trusting you and eventually becoming clients by sharing those stories of your life. So, does your podcast feel like a safe, nourishing place to come back to? All right. Now we're going to be strategic. So I think I told you earlier it was going to be either step or 3 or 4, but this is it. This is it. We're going to be strategic. We don't want to just record. We want to plan. We don't want to just plan. We want to record. It's vice versa here, right? So while spontaneity is absolutely beautiful, absolutely love it, strategy is what creates the growth. Okay. So if you're aligned with your episode, with what you're offering in 8 to 12 weeks, you're going to find that people are going to hear this over and over and over again for the 8 to 12 weeks. And they're going to feel even more like you can offer them something. So design your episodes to support your launches and your offers and work ahead. Does that mean you always have to think 8 to 12 weeks ahead? No, no, but you do want to map your content to match the client's journey. Awareness equals trust equals invitation. And this is going to get easier the more downloads and the more listeners that you have, because those people are going to be like, I've already listened to, 100 episodes. And so it's going to be an easy win for them to get in to that next step, whatever that next step is that you're offering. And I do know, for instance, the gentleman I was telling you about earlier, that's my coach, he will offer something last minute as like a beta. And because he's got so many listeners and because he's got so many people on his email list and he offers it in both, people will bite and they'll jump right in. And then he can work on it in a beta, whereas then he can grow it and then offer it at a higher rate later with more lead time there. So make sure that your podcast content is aligned with your current offers, and also always keep in mind your income goals, right? Because you might have an idea of like, I want to have 10 people in there, and put that out to the universe. And so it will come back to you the way you want it, the way you really feel. Your voice is powerful. So let's use it with some intention. All right. So if you're ready to use your podcast with intention, I would love for you to join my monthly membership so we can grow your podcast, we can attract more clients, and we can monetize through that connection like I talked about. So what you'll get inside is monthly action plans for podcast growth, a live monthly group coaching, templates, swipe files, checklists, tutorials, weekly office hours, and a supportive private community on Voxer. So right now, through July 31st, it's $49 a rate at $49 a month. And you can look at it through pathway.kpcreativemedia.com. There's also a QR code there. You will need the code founders to get in, but that code actually becomes extinct as of August 1st at 12:01. So you have all the way through July 31st, and that is Eastern Standard Time, just so you know as well. So I absolutely would love for you to join us in this particular course and membership that I have. It's going to be growing as we go through it. And I've already got a ton of content in there that I absolutely can't wait to share with people. So lastly, I just want to leave you with this. Your voice isn't just content. It is medicine. It's magnetism. It's a portal that opens hearts and moves energy, right? Your voice is really that one thing that everybody knows. When they can hear your voice, they They know they can feel you deep inside, right? And your podcast is that space. It's a place where stories, teachings, and healing even can happen. And when you treat it that way, it becomes magnetic to the women who you're meant to work with. Whether your podcast has 10 listeners or 10,000 listeners, your voice is doing the work. Don't underestimate the ripple effect you're creating just by showing up. If you've been waiting for a sign to lean in, trust your voice, and fully claim the next level of your podcast, this is it. You don't have to figure it all out alone. I'm here to guide you. And inside Podcasters Pathway to Profits, we hold that space together, a space where you can be strategic and soulful, where your voice becomes a true channel for abundance and alignment. And also, let me just mention, if you don't have a podcast already, we also talk about launching in this portal, in this membership as well. So whether or not you're at the very beginning stage or you're at the growth stage, it doesn't really matter. They're all encompassing because it's all about podcasting, aligning your podcast with your clients and growing your podcast organically and socially with some work. So we talk about it all. Your next client might be listening to your podcast right now if you have one. And let's just make sure that they know exactly how to take the next step with you. Thank you for being here today, for sharing your energy with me, and for trusting your voice. The world needs it. I'm Kim Parkinson of KP Creative Media, and it has been such a pleasure to share this with you today. Much love.